Hello, and today is the day that we've all been waiting for. It is our top 10 of 2014. Woo! We are also collaborating this video with Circuits of Time, which is another YouTube reviewer that
we've gotten to know and like.
Yeah,
so.
he's really great. He goes into more of the behind-the-scenes stuff within his reviews, which are really cool to watch.
And I like that he goes back and doesn't do movies that are out now.
Yeah.
He does movies that we've already seen.
Like, recently he just did the Tenacious D Pick of Destiny movie. We're going to break this up, kind of weird, but we're going to do 10 through 6, jump to him, he's going to do his 10 through 6, we're going to jump back to us,
and then do
5 through 2.
Yeah.
And then jump to him, 5 through 2. Back to us for our number 1.
Honorable mentions first.
Alright, we're going to do the honorable mentions first. Now, a lot of these movies, we might not have a review up, but it was before we started up again. Second, our rating on the movie might not really reflect within our rating on where it is on the top 10. Our rating is just like how we thought about the movie right after watching it. This is a reflection of the whole year as a whole.
Yeah.
TMNT comes in on my number 10. I was skeptical going into the very beginning of this movie. There were a lot of things that were getting played around with, like the origin of the Turtles. Michael Bay was either going to be the producer or the director. No one knew. We didn't know if it was going to be live action or if it was going to be a cartoon. So a lot of mixed feelings about how this was going to turn out. But once it did finally come out, I was really surprised. I liked how they brought all the demographics together. They gave everybody everything. They gave the Nickelodeon kids something. They gave newcomers something. And they gave old, bitter, nostalgic kids like myself something as well. So I really enjoy this movie, and I'm looking forward to TMNT 2, where they're going to have Bebop and Rocksteady, apparently. Chef comes in at number 9. It comes from Jon Favreau, the man who brought us Gutter from PCU and also who launched Marvel's first cinematic phase with Iron Man as he was directing. So he's really added a lot to the cinematic universe and been around the industry for a while now. He gives us a movie, this independent movie, about a chef going back to his roots and the weird path that it takes to get to that point. But it's full of a lot of genuine moments of family time and decisions that you have to make and sacrifices you have to make in order to make things that you want in life to happen. The movie's got a great supporting cast as well. It's got like Dustin Hoffman as the restaurant owner. Scarlett Johansson works with him as well. John Leguizamo, he's been in a lot of great stuff, so I really like the supporting cast I had in this movie too. So it took me by surprise. I really enjoyed this movie. The ending was a little bit not subtle, but very abrupt, I guess is what I'm looking to say. So that would be the only thing I had to take away from it. But other than that, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. Interstellar comes in at my number 8. Christopher Nolan provides another amazing original script that will make the audience rethink their own existence. Matthew McConaughey takes another step toward reinvigorating his career with this solid performance as Cooper, a former pilot turned farmer who has to make a hard decision of traveling dimensions in order to save Earth. I really enjoyed a lot about this movie all around. The soundtrack was great by Hans Zimmer. The acting was great with the supporting acting with like Casey Affleck and Jessica Chastain. Also, just the overall vibe of the movie, kind of reminiscent of Space Odyssey 2001. So it pays a lot of homage to that, but also has its own kind of vibe, a lot of its own Christopher Nolan vibe. I wouldn't say it's his best movie, but it's definitely probably in the middle ranks. But it's his best original, I think, idea that he's had in a long time, and also for Hollywood in general. The Interview is my number 7. After the cloud of shit settled after this movie is finally released by Sony after the alleged North Korea cyber attacks, it took me a few viewings just to kind of get a vibe of the movie, to really feel how funny it really was. I call it the Anchorman effect because that's what happened to me back in the day when I watched Anchorman. I didn't get it at first. It took a couple of viewings, but now I watch it, I can't stop laughing, and it's the same thing that happened with The Interview. I would say the movie's pretty on par with previous Seth Rogen and James Franco movies, kind of a bro comedy. This one they're incorporating Kim Jong-un and an assassination attempt or assassination of him from the CIA. So it turned into this really big shitstorm that I don't really think was very necessary after seeing the movie. Edge of Tomorrow is my number 6. A shitty name change followed by even shittier trailers or what buried this awesome action movie during the middle of the summer blockbuster season. Tom Cruise delivers one of his best genuine performances in a long time, and actually one that I actually enjoyed as well. The movie is focused on this epic battle of Earth and aliens where Tom Cruise gets thrown in the middle somehow, where he somehow gets the power that the aliens have in regards to living the days over and over, where he has to use that to figure out how to defeat them. One of the things I really liked about the movie was the practical use of the effects. A lot of the war scenes, a lot of the missiles and the things blowing up and bullets and stuff, that's all real. There's hardly any CGI. They had behind the scenes footage. You can see everything going on. Like maybe a few things, the rockets here and there were CGI, but a majority of those scenes were very practical effects, which I really think is awesome. The studio ended up finally realizing the mistake on changing the name, so when it was released on DVD, they've changed the name back to the novel name of Live, Die, Repeat, which should have been in the first place, and I'm sure it would have been a lot better in the box office that way.
Number
So,
10.
Get into it. Yeah, number 10.
Number 10. Skeleton Twins for me.
Yes.
Starring Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig. It's about this guy who commits suicide unsuccessfully and goes to live with his sister because he needs to be cared for a certain amount of time. And they've been estranged.
It's Bellatrix so
Yes,
strange.
Bellatrix estranged. It's about them getting back to know each other, getting back together as family and whatnot. And he plays a really, really gay character, and I think he does it brilliantly.
Oh, awesome.
So it's my number 10 because it's not one of those movies that are really recognized by the awards right now. No one's really looking at it, but it's really good still.
I agree.
Yeah.
Luke Wilson has also a really
Luke Wilson's in it, and it's like, hey, where you been? And you're kind of good.
My number 10 is Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier. Now, we all been with the Marvel bandwagon for, a few years now, and I remember the first Captain America being kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
This one was like you took steroids, injected it already into Captain America, and the directors for the movie, and it's fucking phenomenal.
And it's a lot better, but I do miss that old school film noir kind of film that we got with the first Captain America. Number 9.
Yeah, number 9.
I have X-Men Days of the Future Past.
Boom. Why?
Highly anticipated movie of the year for me personally because I love the X-Men so much. And the fact that Bryan Singer came back was just like, I was like everywhere. So that's mainly one of the reasons. It didn't lack anything for me. I was really excited about this movie. Everyone was on point. But I still think that it could have been a little bit better watching it again.
My number 9 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Fantastic, another great, fantastic Marvel Disney collaboration. We got Star-Lord trying to, save the galaxy by finding one of the Infinity Stones and taking it from Ronan. That's the basic premise, but the movie hits this level of comedy and really interacts with the music from the 80s very well.
Very well.
It's just a really beautifully well-made movie at the end of the day.
My number 8, Guardians of the Galaxy.
What?
This movie, and you asked me earlier why I ranked X-Men lower than Guardians. It's because Guardians had an overall filler of like amazingness.
Mm-hmm.
The music was on point, the acting was pretty good. The comedy was just there. It was so entertaining. I did not think I was going to like this movie going into it. I knew I was going to be entertained, whatever, but I loved it.
My number 8 is going to be Nightcrawler, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. The thing is about Jake Gyllenhaal is he transforms into a psychopath.
Yeah.
Like straight up crazy psychopath. And the movie does a really good job of capturing the world around him while he is becoming a psychopath, filming deaths and murders and, accidents.
Yeah.
And he becomes a different person throughout the movie.
Number 7, John Wick.
Nice.
John Wick. Now let me tell you a little bit of something about John Wick. It has Keanu Reeves. And that's probably why you're like, don't want to watch it. But shit!
Damn.
Each scene where he has a gun in his hand is badass. Like, motherfucker fight, you need to hide.
Yep.
Seriously, there's a scene in the nightclub where it just goes down. And I reminiscent to what happens in The Dark Knight, but done 100,000 times better in that one scene. And just Keanu Reeves, like, he doesn't have to talk.
He doesn't.
He doesn't have to talk. He just has
was
to
really
shoot.
good though.
Really good.
And it's crazy that he's 50 years old and he's still trucking like this. You know,
He's
like
50? I didn't even know that.
he's 50. My number 7. I'm taking your number 9.
Nice.
X-Men: Days of the Future Past.
Woo.
I love this movie. Thank God Bryan Singer is back because
for real.
fuck, this series kind of fell off the bandwagon, especially with X-Men 3 and X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Wolverine's origins were worse than X-Men 3, and that's saying something.
But they're both piles of doo-doo.
Well, they are.
That you can smell a mile away. So Bryan Singer comes back and he
was like,
says, "Fuck those movies.
I got this
Erase
shit
it all."
going. Yep, erase it all.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that like the biggest fuck you in the world?
Brett
Erase-
Ratner's crying at home right now.
Number 6,
Dun, 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 dun.
for me, Whiplash.
Aw.
Whiplash, surprisingly good. I honestly was like, I'd rather watch Rosewater than Whiplash, and we didn't get to see Rosewater. We saw Whiplash instead. But I was pleasantly surprised and pleasantly drunk at the same time. Miles Teller killed it.
Uh-huh.
But you know who really killed it?
J.K. motherfucking
J.K.
Simmons.
motherfucking Simmons really took over, really believed him and like the passion that he has for music, that it turned into anger. You know what I mean?
My number 6 is Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. This movie is directed by Alejandro Iñárritu, or that's as good as it's going to get there.
Because yeah, he's Jewish. He doesn't really know how to
Yeah,
speak.
Spanish and stuff. It stars Michael Keaton in the starring role, has Edward Norton, Emma Stone, Zach Galifianakis, you know, the whole thing, the whole
shebang.
This movie is seemingly like shot in one shot. It's one take, you know, one fluid camera motion is the
Yeah.
whole movie. You can see the cuts like here and there, but for the most part, it's done so majestically because it is so fluid. And Michael Keaton, I think, is the front runner for the Oscar this year. I mean, we still have other people, but Michael Keaton fucking murders this role.
Really well.
Now we're going to flip over to Circuits of Time, and he's going to do his
5 through 2.
5 through 2, thank you.
Yeah.
And we're going to come back and do our number 1.
Number 5, Birdman. Michael Keaton and Edward Norton absolutely murder their performances in this film. They knock it out of the park. The movie sort of a take on Michael Keaton's real life, following an actor who is well known for a superhero movie, but he needs to break the mold and gain credibility as an actor again by putting on a play in Broadway. The movie does a great job of underlining the bowels of Broadway, like the criticism and the actors and how they're perceived in different areas of their careers and what it takes to put on a play and the sacrifices that go on and the emotional toll it can take on one person. Again, this is another movie with amazing supporting cast. You have Emma Stone, Zach Galifianakis, Edward Norton, and Naomi Watts in this movie, and everyone does a superb job. You're entranced by how well their acting is in this movie. I expect this movie and the actors to get more than enough Academy Awards this year. 4, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. This movie is just like the Police Academy franchise. It just keeps getting better. This movie's story focuses on the similarities between humans and apes and their decisions when it comes to power and corrupt, and also it really details the evolution of the ape colony and how it's going to evolve into Planet of the Apes down. You know they're going to have more movies. The CGI in this movie is flawless. Even with the up-close shots and even the ones zoomed out, you really can't tell where the CGI comes in and where it's just the motion capture or where if it's real life. They did a flawless job, especially Andy Serkis doing the motion capture for Caesar again in this movie. I think at some point in time the Academy is going to have to at least award or acknowledge the fact that this is becoming a revolutionary technology in the movie industry and that these guys are going to have to start being acknowledged for their work. X-Men Days of Future Past, number 3. This is my favorite X-Men movie and probably the best X-Men movie in my opinion in the franchise. This movie was getting hate from the beginning. If we weren't talking about Quicksilver's terrible outfit to the terrible marketing they were doing with like Hardee's or whatever, we were proven wrong in the end. Quicksilver's scenes were the most memorable ones. Peter Dinklage in the movie does an amazing job. I like how they didn't make his villain black and white. He had more of an actual motivation. He thinks that he was doing the right thing, and that's what a lot of villains nowadays are doing. A lot of people are doing with the villains is they're making you see their point of view, so you kind of relate to them, and that's what they did in this one. So it made it a little bit more emotional connection to the characters in this movie. My favorite part was that Bryan Singer came back in the end and fixed all the shit that all the previous directors that came after him that ruined everything from the previous movies, and he made it all right. He just wiped it all clean. And if we were to go further from here, which we are, we're going to get Bryan Singer's version of X-Men and not convoluted of a couple different guys who didn't do such a great job. So this is definitely the best X-Men Days of Future Past. Best X-Men movie. I'm looking forward to Apocalypse coming up next. Guardians of the Galaxy, number 2. Marvel's biggest risk with a non-established franchise paid off huge. I think it was the mixture of their first-time blockbuster director James Gunn with the untested comedian actor from Chris Pratt, and also with a group of unknown characters and the amazing soundtrack that came along with it, intrigued audiences rather than deterred them. This movie is an experience. You have to go see it in the theaters at least once. I know it's already out on DVD and Blu-ray, but if you got to see it in theaters, you really got to engage in a really good experience. I saw it 4 times just to listen to that, see the sci-fi landscapes they had, the awesome soundtrack, maybe see Gamora's booty. But nonetheless, the movie was a pleasant surprise, and I'm excited to see the next one when it comes out.
So now it is getting down to the nitty-gritty.
Nitty-gritty.
We are now presenting the 5 through 2 best movies of 2014.
In our opinion, woo!
Yeah.
From what we've seen, woo! Number 5 for me.
What is it?
Dawn of the rise of the becoming of the Armageddon of the planet of the once were
Apes. It's funny because that's my number 5 as well.
What? So
Yes.
why do you like it?
I like this movie because of a lot of reasons. First of all, the CGI is fucking
Badass.
spot on. Andy Serkis's performance,
Badass.
plus the guy that plays Kobo.
Badass.
Everything about this movie is badass. The direction is phenomenal. There is probably the most memorable shot of the whole summer.
That
in
you
this
will
movie.
never shut up about.
That
never.
shot when he's in the thing shooting
Koba.
the peeps. Koba's in the deal, and the
Tank.
camera's just following that.
And he's all.
It's so nitty gritty. It's so beautifully shot. Go watch this movie if you haven't.
Go buy it.
Yeah, go buy it. Go watch it. Do something with
Live
your
it.
life.
Number 4.
Which is also
equal.
Same.
Same things.
It's Gone Girl.
Gone Girl.
Why do you like Gone Girl?
Because Rosamund Pike kills it.
Uppercut.
Kills it. She's been getting a lot of Oscar buzz for this movie, and she's gotten Golden Globe nominations, all this other shit nominations. Really, really good. She starts off as one thing, ends as another, and I cannot believe it. I remember watching this movie and just being amazed by every moment she did. Who's also really good, also Ben Affleck.
Yep, I got a lot of respect for him.
A lot
to play
more respect.
Batman.
Yep.
I'm more excited.
I'm still not excited about Batman, but he was good in Gone Girl. I will admit that.
He was fantastic.
Very, very well.
If it was a weaker male category year, you could see him getting a
Yeah,
nomination.
definitely.
But the big star of this movie is David Fincher, I would say.
Jesus. There's a scene that I talked about in the reviews that we did, but there's a scene where he was with his character Rosamund Pike, the character Rosamund Pike plays, in an alley, and they're putting sugar in one of the stores. It's a delivery, and the sugar looks like beautiful snow, and it looks like
It's a
so
beautiful
magical,
scene.
and the scene is just shot so well, and it just looks so beautiful, and I was like, ah.
It was fantastic. It was really a great scene.
Number 3 is Birdman.
Boo, 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 boo.
I loved that movie. We had to go through hell
And
and back to
Yes.
go watch that movie. We went to Denver.
Yep.
Because we're based in Colorado Springs. So we had to drive to Denver. We got to the theater, missed the first showing, and then we had to go get dinner. Got to the second showing, watched it, and then left. But it was a long day. But it was fun. It was a fun day.
It was fun.
It was trying, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And I had to drive, and I hate driving in Denver because I don't like small
Confined
spaces and driving in fast roads and anyways, but it was worth it. Birdman is so good. He talked about it earlier, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but the fact that it's my number 3 and it was one of my favorite movies of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
I'm going with, for my number 3, The Grand Budapest Hotel. This movie is directed by Wes Anderson. It came out way earlier this year. It stars Ralph Fiennes, and then he got a whole bunch of other people that are usually in Wes Anderson
Saoirse
films.
Ronan's in it too.
This movie's really good. It has this like ethereal quality to
It's
it
so-
in the way
yeah,
it's
so
filmed. Adrian Brody does an interesting role. We got Willem Dafoe who knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
The movie's funny, but at the same time, it really hits the heartstrings a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. And just talk about Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah, Ralph Fiennes kills it.
It's so good. It's such a good movie. The color palette is just crazy, and Wes Anderson has this like beautiful tracking shot that he does. It's from like left to right, right to left. And he does it so well for me in this
Oh
movie.
yeah, he kills it.
Yeah, and then the screen gets smaller sometimes. And my number 2 is Grand Budapest Hotel. We couldn't agree on like what level it'll be. But I love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching it at the beginning of the year, and I was like, Oscar noms everywhere. I know it. Because I watched
I hope
it,
it
and
gets Oscar.
from the moment I started watching the first scene to the last scene of the movie, it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like looking at the screen like an idiot.
Transfixed.
Yeah, for the whole time I was on.
My number 2 is the Christopher Nolan semi-masterpiece. Who knows? We'll know in like 10 years. Interstellar, starring Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Lithgow, and let's go with Michael Caine. Because that's, if I went on the cast, we would...
Jessica Chastain,
Yeah, we'd be here for hours.
Casey Affleck.
This movie is, the best modern day portrayal of science fiction, I think.
Yeah, sure, I see it.
Yeah, it does it really, really well. Christopher Nolan outdoes himself with out-using special effects.
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer's score is mystical and captivating
beautiful.
at all times.
Yes.
It brings tears to your eyes, it brings laughter to your heart, and it makes your eyes bleed too.
It does. It's so good.
So we're going to jump to Circuits of Time, who's going to give us his number 1. We'll be right back.
Number 1, good old John Wick. This movie's probably not going to be on a lot of people's number 1, but this isn't their fucking list. This is the most warranted number 1, I would say, because this is a great redemption from Keanu Reeves after he's had some recent flops in the last couple years. This movie is fucking amazing. The story is basic for the movie, but that makes more room for the awesome action scenes that go on where they incorporate gun fu, which is, I guess, a new different kind of style in Hollywood, which is just triple tapping guys while you're watching them die incredibly. The cinematography for this movie is just incredible. The camera focuses on the action. It's not that shaky cam shit that you get with Michael Bay, where you don't really get to see the details of the fight. You get to see everything in these fights, and it's just so detailed. It's amazing. And that type of camera work really brings lots of realism to the action scenes and really gets you engaged in those scenes. And I think this movie is going to be a really good jumping start for Keanu Reeves to bring us Bill and Ted 3. Oh yeah.
Before we do our number 1s, we have a few honorable mentions.
What? You go first this time, fool.
Okay, for my honorable mentions, first of all, I got Snowpiercer.
What?
Snowpiercer is a movie directed by some Korean fellow and starring Chris Evans.
Okay. Yeah.
Chris Evans does a really good job with this role. It's probably the best role he's ever going to get because he's switching over to directing pretty soon here.
Yeah, that's right. Uh-huh.
And it's about like society moving forward on this train, like these poor people moving to the front of a train that's where the affluent section is. It's really well done. It's a really good science fiction movie.
Good.
What's your first honorable mention?
My first honorable mention is Big Hero 6.
Not 5, not 4, but 6.
Yes. It's an animated Disney movie, Marvel Disney movie, that just blew my mind. We went to New Mexico for Thanksgiving, and for other reasons. But we went to go see a movie for the kids. So we all got together, we all watched Big Hero 6. And I was like, oh, whatever, this movie's gonna be okay, whatever. But the whole time it was really good. It was really entertaining. I mean, I wasn't fixated like, wow, the whole time. But it had a great heart-wrenching story in the beginning. And like the story of loss and finding new friends.
My second honorable mention is Gojira.
Gojira!
Or as we say it,
I freaked out.
Godzilla. And if there was one scene to describe why this is an honorable mention and in consideration for being on the list, is the scene where Godzilla opens the mouth and breathes like this radiation fire down the throat of a monster.
The Parasite?
Yeah, best thing I've ever seen in my life, it feels like.
Yeah.
It's just like, yes.
Yeah. There's also in that movie the scene where they're going down underground and the doors are shutting and you see Godzilla fighting and then the doors shut and then you're just like, ah!
What's your other honorable mention?
My honorable mention is Devil's Knot. Now this movie came out in 2013 in certain countries, but in 2014 in the US. Limited. Okay? I actually saw this movie on Netflix because I was like, I don't know what to watch, whatever. And then I saw Colin Firth and Reese Witherspoon that were in this movie, so I was like, okay, let me check it out. It's about this small religious town, that where these three boys are murdered, and we really don't find out who, when, why. Well, you have to see the movie to figure it out. But it's just crazy because it's so realistic, and the loss of the children for Reese Witherspoon and like the other people were like it was so realistic. Reese was so good in this movie. Anyways,
my last honorable mention, just had to mention it, is the movie Locke, starring Tom Hardy. Hardy. And that's about it, because that's what the movie's about, is Tom Hardy driving from point A to point B. And
a lot of shit going on in between.
You learn a lot about his life just sitting in the car listening to a phone conversation.
Yeah, well, and by a lot of shit, I don't mean like action driving and stuff like that. It's more of like, hey.
Yeah, but the script, you just watch it come alive, like from the first scene to the last scene, and you're just in a car, and you just have filming of like the streetways and him talking on the phone. It's so well done.
Yeah, and the emotions from the other people on the phone
Are so realistic.
realistic and so well done.
You have to watch this movie. It's really good. It was very close to making my list, but it didn't. But still watch it. Tom Hardy's one to look out for the coming year.
Yeah, he is definitely
So, that was our honorable mentions. Now on to the main event.
the number ones.
What is your number one film of 2014?
Oh, it's your number 2.
What?
Interstellar.
It was fantastic.
The greatest movie I've ever seen this year, and quite possibly my favorite movie of all time. For me personally. And I'm not saying it should be yours, but it should be. Anyways, I don't care. This movie captured me from the beginning. Matthew McConaughey, where are you? And where did you come from?
Yeah, he needs to be.
This guy can act. He, all of a sudden, the switch was flipped, and it was like, oh, hello, I'm Jesus. It was so good. He is so good in space. The scene where he had, the ships are spinning and he had to dock was so intense. When he was getting sucked into the black hole, his performance there was like, I was watching that and I was like, I would never have thought of someone freaking out that way that he did. You know what I'm saying? And he did it perfectly. You know what I'm saying? So this movie has a lot of math to it. It has a lot of theory to it.
A lot of science.
A lot of science. And it's just so well explained for you.
It's reality.
But it's also not like it's like, hey, here's the science and I'm feeding it to you and here. You know, it's not like that.
It's more like science is there. You just deal with it.
Deal with it. Yeah.
You have to figure it out.
Legitimately is my number one favorite movie of this year, of all time right now, and it's just, it blows me away of how beautiful a movie can actually be.
My number one would have been Interstellar, but there was one better movie than Interstellar, and that was fucking Whiplash. Fucking Whiplash was amazing. J.K. Simmons does probably a career-defining role, and then you got Miles Teller, who's breaking out slowly into Hollywood.
Great actor.
And he did a great job. But this movie is about artistry and how to overcome obstacles and get to a level that you've never even thought of being at right now, you know. And it's something that every single artist fights day in, day out, and this movie captured it perfectly. And it's not overbloated. It does what it needs to do in a very small amount of time.
You know what? I never thought of that. It is true. It's not overbloated and it does what it needs to do. Yeah,
and
it does.
The last, I would say, 10 minutes of the movie when he's just going at it on the drums.
On the drums.
Some of the best editing I've ever seen in a film for a long time.
Yeah.
Some of the best like sound work I've seen. And J.K. Simmons, that like look that he does near the end is perfect.
Yep.
But anyways, that is our top 10. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you also like Circuits of Time top 10. It
was nice working with you, man.
Yep, he was awesome. Go check out his channel if you haven't already. Also, subscribe up here. Give us a thumbs up. Give us some suggestions on movies that we should review in the comments.
The comics section.
The comics, yes.
It's not real.
And then follow us on social media, and, you know, we'll be here.
We'll be here.
Will you?